Session 28 is working with kids and adolescents in training. And this includes a practical at the end, so it's a pretty good fun session, this one. It goes into a little bit of detail. It's quite wordy, so you're going to need to pick when you get the friends up. You'll need to get them up a little bit more than what the your turns allow. So put a little bit more into it. The session does allow quite a bit of guided discussion. And if you can do that early, you'll find that friends bring out a lot of their own experiences. So when we're talking about things like obesity, stages of development, psychosocial aspects of training with kids, there'll be a number of stories in the room that you can draw on. Use that. It customises it a lot more for your group. When you get to the slides that talk about obesity, use that to reinforce us as being warriors against SEDS. Use it to reinforce our mission to get Australians active. You know, it's an important thing that the friends realise. It's more than just a collection of ways of training people. They need to see they're part of a bigger picture. So make sure you're putting that out there as well. Going through the kids' development stages, there's a lot of information on the slides. What you'll need to do is cherry pick a few of the key ones and build the session around that. Importantly, the friends need to be aware of the 3 S's, how they relate to training, how screening for kids is different, and how programming is different. If you give them a bit of a heads up into what's going to be involved in the chimpanzee challenge, they'll appreciate it. So chimpanzee challenge is all about kids. So get them to think about the younger kids, say the 6-year-old kids, and what things would go into a session for them compared to someone who was an adolescent. Think about the psychosocial aspects of adolescence and how that influences the way that you actually conduct a session with them. So get that into your talking. As you work through the session, we'll start to get into group work. And the group work is going to involve you setting up a framework for your practical in a way that gets everyone involved and allows everyone to be kids again. When you become a kid again, you also become an idiot. And there's a great opportunity in this for people to injure themselves if you don't hold thick some parameters. So make sure you've got some good parameters there. Importantly, with groups, get them into groups if you can where there's some interaction. No more than, say, 10 to 16 in a group. That's a good size to work with, though, for things like, "What's the time, Mr. Wolf?" or "Duck, duck, goose, goose." In Duck, Duck, Goose, Goose, you need some deep squatting and to be able to walk around with it. You'll find that probably a third of your group won't be able to do that. So they'll need to bend a little and flap arms instead. Everyone needs to be involved. Everyone role plays kids. And you'll find that for a lot of friends, this will be a real highlight of the course. They'll have a lot of fun in this session. So keep it upbeat, keep it kids in terms of your language and kids in terms of the fun factor. When you get into the more structured games of the older kids, like "What's the time, Mr. Wolf?" or if you get into a dodgeball type game, remember competitiveness can come in as well. There'll be a lot of bodies in motion, so you'll need to have enough space to be able to do that. Recommend that this is done in a Group X area, not in the classroom, because there can be a little bit of bodies in motion and collisions if you're not careful. Remind the friends that when they're programming for kids, they're going to be using this in the chimpanzee session, and we'll go through the chimpanzee briefing for them at the very end of this session. So friends can go away and do a little bit of program writing and put their thinking caps on for some things that they could put in kids programming. Remind the friends that there's a big section in their workbooks that goes through lots of games, and it puts them into groups of kids' ages, and they can use that as a really good resource. And we would expect to see that in a program a little bit further down the track. That's the kids session. So the session run for FI28, Programming for Children and Adolescents, start with your introduction. Look at activity levels and obesity and have your guided discussion. And then look at screening before you take your break. After the break, come back to the 3 S's of fitness and programming. Leave about an hour for your prac, and then back in the room to round up.